Food for thought. Avoiding meat and dairy is the biggest way to reduce your environmental impact on the planet. Research suggests that cutting out on these products could reduce global farmland use by as much as 75%. Now, that's an area as big as the US, China, Europe and Australia put together. Dora Marema from Gender CC Southern Africa joins us now to explain how this will work. Dora, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm trying to wrap my mind around this. How will me giving up a good piece of steak and maybe, some fresh cream or milk in my coffee actually help?
I think it is very interesting because often these kind of things are a little bit far removed from us. It's almost like not in my backyard kind of principle, because if we think of where the steak comes from, where does the meat come from, basically? So I think, livestock farming, in itself is it's a huge problem, because these cows often need a huge pieces of land, very intensive. And as a result, really, also in terms of the gases that get emitted by the cows, also contributes to the gases that are part of the problem that causes global warming.
So you're saying that this would lead to the non-breeding of cows, and so we wouldn't breed cows for the purpose of. I
think that research basically does mention that if we do free range, if we go back to how people have been rearing their chickens and their livestock in their backyards, and cows are allowed to graze in the wild and not kept in like I can say in captivity almost, then we could probably look at a situation where all of this stuff is almost nearly halved. So I think it's important for us to understand that the consumption of meat comes at an expense for the environment, that maybe those of us who are actually not even vegetarians, we should consider maybe having meat once a week or something like that,
so
or
even
consider
cutting down, not giving it up completely.
Absolutely.
But cutting down a limited number of.
A limited number, and I think it's important to highlight that, because many people cannot connect the dots. That leads to that.
So we're not just talking cows. If we look at red meat, then we're looking at sheep, we're looking at goat, we're looking at all those examples. So
absolutely.
that kind of livestock.
That kind of livestock, and I think the same as commercial agriculture, huge monoculture farms that require a lot of pesticides and insecticides, also are a huge problem. I think we're talking about a decentralized farming system where people are able to farm where they are and provide the produce where they are, instead of occupying huge pieces of land that could be used for something else.
So you're talking about the mass production of red meat is what it is. And of course the artificial means of getting that meat out to the consumer.
Because it's not just only farming, it's also the processing. You have to slaughter the cows, you have to package it, you have to, all these things that come into play for you to end up going to a store and getting the meat.
Would you say that we can successfully do it? I mean, beef is beef and pork among the cheapest meats. Pork is also cheaper. Beef cheaper than lamb as well.
Yes.
Would we be able to do that here in South Africa, and compared to where it's been done successfully, if we know of anywhere?
I think we can. I think we definitely could. I mean, there are pockets of success. There are where people are doing free range livestock farming, and something that we can learn from and actually amplify and make sure that this is something that gets introduced. And if we also make people aware, there's also a lot of awareness raising that has to happen, that people can start rearing the livestock in their backyards. I mean, it's heavily nutritious, unlike this antibiotic.
So everybody keep a cow, if we can. That might help. Okay, so you've put my mind at ease. I don't have to give it up completely, but let's just cut down where we can.
I think giving up completely is the first prize.
Okay, we'll try for that. I can't promise you anything. All right, thanks very much, Dora. Well, that's how you can do it. By cutting down on beef and your dairy will help reduce the carbon footprint more than cars.